Rev up your engines!
Aaron Phillips asked for the last year in my 05 Pontiac Grand Am GT. When I accelerate from first to second, I have to bring the engine up to 2,500 and take my foot off the gas, like it's manually shifting. Yeah, your transmission's going out. That's typical on those Pontiacs. That's why they don't make them anymore. They had horrible automatic transmissions. Most automatic transmission cars, when they do start to wear out, that's a trick you can get them to shift. I had a lot of customers with old Mercedes 300 diesels, and I tell them, hey, just when you're driving, when you want it to shift, take your foot off the gas, it'll shift to the next gear, then gradually accelerate. And sometimes they drove them years that way and they still ran. But it's a sign that the transmission itself is starting to wear out. It's warning you. But I mean, hey, an 05 Grand Am isn't worth that much money anyway, so just baby it. And if it does finally go out, hey, I'd junk it rather than put that kind of money into rebuilding the transmission on that thing. Glenn Lego says, can you offer an opinion on putting nitrogen in tires rather than air? Here's the thing. We live on Earth. The atmosphere of Earth is something like 80% nitrogen anyways. If you're putting pure nitrogen in your tires, you're only getting rid of 20% of the other gas that's in there, oxygen and stuff, and having total nitrogen in. Now, they do that on race cars. They also do it on big jet planes because the jet planes are way up in the sky where it's really cold. And the nitrogen doesn't, it's totally dry, and it's not like the oxygen. It doesn't lose pressure as much. It's an inert gas as the oxygen does. And yeah, it's a good idea. And for the race cars too. For normal driving, it really doesn't make all that much difference. For years, guys are trying to sell me one of these machines that makes nitrogen, the air in our Earth's atmosphere, till it's almost 100% nitrogen. It doesn't magically get nitrogen from nowhere. It just keeps getting rid of everything else. But from what I've seen, it does absolutely nothing. Then, if you ever have to add air to your tire, you'd have to go someplace that has just the nitrogen instead of just having an air pump. It doesn't really do that much. I wouldn't waste my time if I were you. Mudassir Habib asks, is changing the engine in a Corolla E80 a good idea? I've had this car since 1990 and the engine block's cracked. The car body's in good condition though. Okay, if in your area you can do what I've done for decades and find one of those used Japanese engines that's imported from Japan, go right ahead. I did that for my son years ago. I bought a 93 Toyota Celica that was a beautiful car, but the woman that loaned it to her daughter, her goofball daughter, drove it through water, sucked water, and blew the engine up. So I went to one of the local junkyards here that imports these engines from Japan. I got an engine for $500. It probably had less than 20,000 miles because 10 years later, it's still running like a clock, and it never burned any oil. So if you can get one of those used Japanese engines from Japan, do it and put it in because those are excellent engines. And in Japan, they don't put that many mileage on their cars, I guess. Now, if you're talking about just putting a regular junkyard engine, I wouldn't bother. It had too many miles on it, probably. But if you can get one of those Japanese ones, go right ahead and do it. Alexander Granado says, Scotty, why aren't the Toyota Land Cruisers sold in the USA? Well, maybe you're in an alternate universe because I worked on many of them were sold in the USA. They sold Land Cruisers a long time ago in the United States. I remember when they had them, and they had basically it was a Chevy 6-cylinder straight inline engine that they threw in those things. They sell them in the United States, and they have for quite some time. They're very reliable vehicles. They're extremely gas hogs. They use a lot of fuel, but they can last a long time. I had a customer with one that had 500,000 miles on a thing, and it was still running pretty good. So you might check something here because they've been sold there for quite some time. D Machine says, are LEDs better than regular bulbs, and what are the pros and cons of both bulbs? Here's the thing. There's pros and cons both ways. Now, LEDs are light-emitting diodes. Well, light-emitting diodes, they use less energy, and they're a lot cooler. Hey, if you check the temperature of halogen light bulbs for your headlights, and then you put LED bulbs and turn them on, a lot cooler. They use a lot less energy. For you northern people that live where it gets icy and cold, you would rather have halogen because if you got LED bulbs, you turn them on, it's never going to melt the ice and snow on your headlights. Where the halogens will get hot enough to melt them. Sometimes it's better to have halogen lights. Now, LED lights, since they use less energy, it's more efficient and stuff. But really, maybe get 1/1000th of a mile better gas mileage putting in LED bulbs versus halogen. It really isn't going to make all that much difference. And of course, they come in various colors, the LEDs, and some guys go for the different colors, and that's why people use them. They want one particular color versus another.
So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.